Hi, I'm Dr. Melissa Longo. Welcome to Everyday Rockstar Moms, where every episode I'll interview moms just like you who are rocking it in their homes, raising their children, managing their households, building their careers, working on their relationships, dealing with challenges, finding success, trying to find balance, and themselves along the way. Every episode you'll hear from women just like you of all ages and stages of motherhood, sharing their stories, life experiences, and leaving you with practical tips, ideas, and inspiration to help you rock your life. Welcome to the show today, Kelly. I'm really glad that you are here. You and I had lots of conversations about raising boys over the years, and I'd love for our listeners to hear some of your perspective. Maybe you can just start by telling everyone a little bit about yourself.
Sure. I'm Dr. Kelly Volmers. I'm a veterinarian with my own practice in Wasaga Beach, River Road Animal Hospital. I have two boys, a 15 and an 18-year-old. My husband has been a stay-at-home dad with them.
Since the day you started your business?
Yes. Yep.
And how old were your children? Did you have any children when you started your practice?
I was actually just on maternity leave with my first when we opened the practice. So looking back, it was a really busy time.
Yeah. So did that affect, I saw your husband stayed home with the children. Mm-hmm. At that point, what was that like? I mean, you're excited, you're just coming out of school, opening up your own business. Was that your first time with practice, or did you do any other practice experiences before you opened? Like, were you an associate or anything like that?
Yeah, I had been an associate in Stainer, and I really liked that, but it's just something I had always aspired to, that I wanted to have my own practice and practice in a way that made me happy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So then you jumped right in, and you're on maternity leave with your son, and what was that like for you? How old was he?
We started getting things going when he was about 3 months old.
Okay.
So honestly, looking back, I'm not sure I'd have the stamina for doing that now. But I think it was just an energetic, happy, frenzied time, and things just got done. My husband's a cabinet maker by trade, mm-hmm. And so is his dad. So we purchased a building that was really just the shell of the building, and they did the work of putting all the walls in, the plumbing, everything. So they were working on that, and then I was working on all the clinical things.
Right.
And then initially started taking John to work with me at some times, but Earl was always there too. Then.
So you could nurse if you needed to, and then see patients, and just kind of make it all work together.
Yeah, and it was a nice way to build things, because when you start your own clinic, it's not that busy, so we could kind of grow along with it. Yeah.
That sounds blissful.
Yeah, at times.
Yeah, at times. I'm sure you had challenges along the way. Was it always your vision, you and your husband, to have it work that way, that you would be the one in the business and he was going to look after the children?
It was, and I think it's quite unusual for us. We met when we were like 15, 16 years old. We've been together ever since. And even when we were in high school, I always knew I wanted to be a vet. And it's something we talked about even back then, is, that I would be a vet, have my own practice, and he would stay home with the kids. Yeah.
I think it's such a neat conversation for us to have here, because, the quick chats that I've had with your husband, he's even brought up how uncomfortable it makes other people.
Yes.
Like, he loves what he's done. He feels grateful that he's had the opportunity that he's had. But yet other people get uncomfortable with that dynamic that you guys created. Do you have anything to share about that?
Yeah. A lot of people are great about it and give us so much support, but you will come across people that we're talking to them and they ask what you do, and they're just dumbfounded when Earl tells them that he stays at home with the kids. Mm-hmm. And then some people, well, I can find a job for you, and that's really not what it's about. This is his job.
Yeah, and it would be no different than if it was a woman mm-hmm. staying home, raising her family, and the husband was out working. I mean, being a home with their children is a full-time job, mm-hmm. Depending on how you want to raise your children.
Yeah.
Did you ever feel that you were missing out on any experiences with the kids?
Not too badly, because, it always worked great that I'd get home and the kids were so happy, to see me get home, and then we'd have dinner together. So even if I'd been working all day, we still had a good time together in the evening. But sure, there was some things that would happen during the day and I wouldn't be there for. My husband called me up at work the once when our second had just started giggling, and he called me with him giggling on the phone, and it was so sweet, but it was bittersweet too, because I'm like, oh, I'm not home when he's doing
You're missing that moment.
Yeah.
It sounds like you have a ton of passion for the work that you're doing as a vet, though,
Mm-hmm.
and that's no doubt been part of your success in practice.
I am. I love it. You know, there's for sure it's something I always wanted to do. I'm crazy about animals, and it's a career that I'm passionate for. So it has really worked for us because I knew, like, you know, this is what I want to do. I love my kids and I will do anything for them. But I think I'm the type of person that I'd go a little stir crazy if I was at home. Like I need this passion, and I'm very happy at work, and I like to be helping there.
Did you ever have moments where you felt conflicted that you love your work and because I feel the same. I love my practice and there's times when you feel like, oh, I want to do everything and something's going to have to give because I can't work another 10 hours and still be there for hockey games.
Yeah.
So did you ever feel moments where you were pulled between wanting both?
I have, and I have missed a lot of hockey games, and I've missed soccer games too. And Earl was the coach for both their hockey and their soccer, so he was there for all of it, and that's something it did bother me. I think a little bit I try to play catch up with it. You know, if we haven't had time, then we'll try and make some sort of family time together, or a mini holiday, or even a holiday at home. But just kind of we're all together, and this is what we're doing.
Yeah. Would you say that your whole experience as a mother has been what you expected it to be?
No, in some ways it's been great, definitely, and I'm really surprised at the instant love that you have for your kids, and you will do anything for them. I don't have brothers or sisters. I didn't babysit, so I wasn't around kids a lot. So it shocked me, actually, that bond. That bond is more important than anything else.
Yeah, I see it a lot in the practice because I see a lot of women when they're expecting and it's their first child. Often, I don't know, this is going to change. I'm going to have less time with my husband, and they get a little bit anxious. So you cannot prepare yourself for how you're going to be ready to have your whole life change and depend on this little tiny being.
Yeah.
And as we were just talking in the pre-chat, as our children get older, you miss them in your heart. You're so excited for them to be doing these wonderful things and being self-sufficient human beings, but you miss them, that connection there.
Yeah, most definitely. And my guys are getting at that age. There's a lot of times I'll be home for the weekend and looking for something to do, and one's working and the other one's off at friends, and it's nice, like they're developing their own lives, and that's great, but it does make you a little bit sad.
Yeah. What is your wisdom as far as how have you gotten through those changing years of, was it gradual? I mean, I don't know, my sons are 10 and 14, so I'm finding that there's a gradual letting go with my 14-year-old. It's a little bit bittersweet, and then it's exciting at times to see him do his own things, but sometimes it's sad too.
It is, yeah. And they have been independent and they have their own interests. We definitely try to have family interests together too. But my oldest went off to university last year, and that really surprised me. It was, very quick, and suddenly he's gone, and he's a little bit too far to go and visit on weekends. And I had a pit in my stomach for about the first 2 months. Yeah.
Just trying to make peace with all the different stages of it, I guess.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Do you find that your children are getting older? Is it changing how much you work and your involvement in your business?
It has been actually a bit, because I love work, and they're not home a lot of the time. So I have been actually putting in a bit more hours, working a bit more evenings. I think I need that rather than coming home to an empty house where the kids aren't there. And Earl and we have our time together too. But I think we are going through that adjustment stage right now of what do we do? The kids aren't here right now. We've got all this free time.
Yeah. And that was going to be certainly one of my questions. So if you met when you were teenagers, how have you guys maintained a great relationship over the years? Yeah,
we've definitely grown together because we were very young when we met. And I think in a way it's been good because we have grown together, so we know where each other is coming from. And we have these ideals, and we've kind of developed them together.
So making time for dates with each other, where you can find them. And do you have any rituals that have been really key for you at different stages of your boys' ages? For Earl and I, we've always tried to have a little bit of time that we can get together, just the two of us. So it's often been I have Thursday mornings off, so while the kids are in school, we just go and grab a coffee, which is a really simple thing, but we don't get that much time otherwise to just sit there. We're not talking about work, we're not talking about any serious issues. We're just enjoying each other. Yeah. And as time goes on, and is he finding a difference now in his role because only one boy is at home?
Yes.
How's that been for him?
Definitely he is, and we're looking at taking on a little bit more projects, and he has been taking on part-time work. He loves cars, so he's delivering cars for some companies, but it's still, that he still wants to be there when the kids need him. And even though our youngest is a teenager, it's still nice to be home, and we still have dinners together.
They just need you in different ways.
Yeah.
A lot of times they say, who we are as a woman, or the experiences we've had as a woman will really affect or impact rather how we mother, right? Have you had any experiences that have really sort of defined, this is the kind of mom I want to be, or this is how I want to raise my family?
Yeah, probably a lot does come from my own mom. I have a lot of respect for her. She had me at a very young age, and then she put herself through school as an accountant, and at that time, all through night school. She was working during the day, raising a child, and getting her accounting degree. So I thought that was great, and I knew that I wanted to be, have some type of career like that.
And would you say that, so many other influences as we are as women, friends, is your mom still one of your biggest influences? Is who you are as a mother?
Yeah.
What are some things that also give you a lot of joy, and that allow you to connect with, other people, with yourself when you're not in the practice or being a mom?
Yeah, I love the area we live in, so I really try to take advantage of that, and almost every weekend I go out for hikes on the Bruce Trail and with my dogs, and if the boys or Earl are available, then with them too. But I think just getting outside and appreciating where we live, that really does give me joy.
That sounds like, I'm always reminding women that you need to take care of yourself. And so many women, a necessity at times, sure, put themselves last. And they're making sure that everyone else's needs are met. But I think it's so important for women to take care of their own needs, their emotional needs, their physical needs, their social needs, so that you can give more to their family. Do you have time that's just for Kelly? That, I know your work fills you a lot. But are there things that, in addition to walking, with the animals, that other hobbies you have, or some women say that, I meditate, or I make sure I get enough sleep, like things that are important to keep you healthy?
Yeah. I do have to eat well, and that is something it's something I do have to watch. And like you said, is taking the time for yourself, which when we have a busy day at the clinic, that's not what comes first. So that's actually an area I'm working on, is I have to try to sit and have a proper lunch each day, because go all the time, it's going to take its toll on you if you don't take care of yourself. So I do try to do that. I do find the outdoor time is something that really helps me. And I do go to the gym a bit as well too. And I'm working with a dietitian there. Just because I do find sometimes it's so busy, I start running a little bit on empty.
So trying to find new ways to nourish yourself on the go.
Yeah.
Are there things that have caused you, specific challenge as a mother? Any moments that really pop out at you? I mean, sure, a lot of times, especially with two boys, there can be times of stress and challenge at all different ages and stages. Does anything pop out at you as you remember it being specifically difficult, in addition to your son leaving for university?
Yeah. I guess one is being able to step back a little bit. I actually find that hard. Like if they're, struggling a little bit in school, or there's certain things that they want to get done, it's hard for me not to just kind of take over and say, well, I'll get this done for you, or, here's everything you need to do to get to this potential, and, I'll map it up for you. And I think for them to learn, we have to step back and let them do it. And that is a tough thing for me.
Letting go.
Yeah.
I can relate to that. I can definitely relate to that. Have you ever had times when a decision that you've made, and perhaps it's the living dynamic that you and Earl have created with him staying home, but times when you made a decision about how you wanted to raise your sons that was met with any kind of criticism? Or maybe family members that, give you some flack, or so many women, make choices for their family, and then they get, advice unwanted from other people. And
I've never really had people to me like, you're not spending enough time with them, that you're not at home. So people have been very supportive that way. And I think maybe because Earl's at home, but we do have some people that they don't, they have some difficulties with that dynamic, with the male staying home. Not usually about that I should be at home, but that the kids should be in daycare rather than being at home with their dad.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's really interesting. I think that, what better person to be with a child than one of their parents.
Yeah.
So when you've had those kind of challenges, what helps you and Earl, stay focused and grounded and deal with that kind of criticism?
I don't think we ever take it very seriously.
No.
We've been pretty confident in what we've been doing, and we feel it's the right thing for them. And everybody is entitled to their opinion, and we don't have a problem if someone has a different opinion with it. We just try to help them to understand where we're coming from. But it honestly doesn't bother me if someone has a different opinion.
No.
Yeah.
Has that grown with time, or have you had other experiences
Yes.
that I feel like that's a 40-year-old mom kind of thing. Like, you care a little bit less when you're in your 20s and 30s, and everyone seems to have an opinion. And I don't know, maybe that's just me. I feel also more stronger in some of my convictions with my kids.
Yes, yeah, I definitely feel, and really I feel like the last 5 to 10 years that's really kind of changed. That I don't take it personally if someone else has a different opinion or doesn't understand why we're doing something. And definitely, we can discuss it, and I'm more open to debate and not taking it personally.
Do you have any specific, so now that you've got, a university-age son and a teenager, would you have any advice to moms who with younger children? Anything that you wish you did differently?
Definitely making the time to be present in the moment. I think there's been times when I've mentally brought my work home with me, and the kids are trying to connect with me, and I'm not there. So looking back, I wish I appreciated all those moments for what they were when they were happening.
I think that's common for many entrepreneurs, though. I think, we're always trying to be present, and I struggle with that at times too, where I'm wanting to be there for my kids, and then in the back of my head, I'm thinking of someone I need to email or a new idea I have, and it's hard to turn that creative mind off sometimes when you have a business. Do you have anything that, if you're having a stressful day, or whether it's at work or something with the kids, that grounds you? Like, do you have a favorite, something that inspires you, a saying or a quote, or some people have said they've had a couple minutes to breathe, to calm themselves down and get them sort of more centered. Do you have anything like that? Any tips like that?
Well, for me, a lot of times it is about animals. And I take my 2 dogs to work with me every day. The one little one just waits outside the appointment door. So every time I come out of the appointment, there's her little smiling face waiting for me. And it's a pick-me-up every time. And if things are really quite stressful, and I've got a little break, I'll put the 2 of them on a leash, and we'll even just go and walk around the property, the edge of the property, and just spend a little time. I really do believe in having a pet. It helps with your blood pressure. It helps with how you feel. And for me, that's a really big one.
Yeah, I love that you brought that up just now, because I was going to ask you, you must have some opinions about the value of pets in people's lives from a health perspective. Anything else you want to share about that?
Yeah, I see a lot of seniors at the clinic, and it's great to see them with their pets, and their pets, get them out walking every day. They have this great connection with them. So, I'll sometimes have people say, well, maybe I'm getting too old to have a pet. My feeling is you're never too old to have a pet. You just have to find the right pet for what you're doing at your life then, because I do think they bring so much to you.
Companionship, and I'm with you. There's so many studies that have showed the benefits to recovery from illness faster, and reducing loneliness and anxieties with people. So, and giving you a purpose to get outside, and too, especially if you have a dog.
Yeah.
Well, we have lots of great stuff that we've chatted about today. Is there anything that you would like to still add? If you were to just say this to any of our listeners right now about your whole journey as a mother?
Yeah, I think, definitely there can be a lot of not role reversal, but, I think things are changing, and, that there can be very driven women that, their career is really important to them. And I think society more and more is going to accept that it may be the dads that are staying home. And on the other hand, too, for couples that both people are working and their kids are in daycare, I think that's a great option, too. And in fact, it's one even I wonder sometimes, because my boys are both pretty quiet. And of course, I'm going to be worried about that. And, do I wonder, well, is that because they weren't in daycare for a young age and they were more sheltered with just us? So I think there's pros and cons to every situation.
it sounds like, what you're saying is really families need to do what's right for them. Mm-hmm. And you and Earl absolutely have done that. And I think it's fantastic. And I think if, all families should take a look at what their values are and what lifestyle is going to work best for them and make decisions that guide them that way.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
Well, thank you so much for your time. I'm sure that you want to get back to your practice and your dogs. And I hope that you have a great rest of your day.
Great. Thanks, Melissa.
There you have it, a great story today from a mom who rocks. I hope you enjoyed today's show. Be sure to head on over to iTunes and subscribe to the podcast so that you don't miss out on any future episodes. When you do that, I'll be sending you a copy of my top 10 tips for moms. These are some of my personal practical strategies I believe that as women we can all benefit from and help us be emotionally and physically as healthy as we can be. When you're also there on iTunes, I would also love it if you left a review. It's really important to leave some reviews because that helps other people find the podcast, and it helps inspire them to listen and potentially gain some insight from the podcast. Tell other moms that you know would benefit from this show, or most certainly nominate them and let me know who you think I should be interviewing. I'd love for you to connect with us on Facebook as well. Head on over to Everyday Rockstar Mom and join our community there. Thanks so much for joining us today. We'll see you next time.